Cleaning your bearings can be no fun, frustrating, terrible experience. And sometimes you put your bearings back together and they're no better or way worse than they were when you took them apart. So I'm going to show you how to properly do it, and we're going to actually get our bearings clean. And the key to this process, so I've got this little magic box here. Okay, we'll get to that part in just a second. First things first, we're going to take our wheels out, get the bearings out, prepare them to be cleaned. Are you recording with that? Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect. Okay, sweet. So we'll have some different angles of everything.
Yeah, this one is a bit tighter, so I'll be able to use that too.
All right. Okay, simple as that. Wheels have been removed. Now, I put them down in order. Now, before I mix up these wheels, I don't want to mess up the order. I want to make sure that when this wheel goes back in, it's back in the same position it was first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Thank you. Okay. That's exactly what we need. All right. Mark my wheels. One, two, three, four, five. Excellent. Okay. So now, time to get the bearings out. Use my Allen wrench. Get it, about that deep in, just behind the bearing, and then I'm going to pull it out, pop it towards myself. A little wiggle. There we go. Gentle, gentle, good. Now, as you're pulling them out, one thing to keep in mind is you don't want to start stretching the plastic core that holds the bearings in. So just gently, a little pressure, turn the wheel, give it a little wiggle. It's coming out. There we go. All right. Let's keep going. Right, so step one, nearly complete there. All right, so now before we can actually properly clean these ones, we're gonna have to remove this rubber shield here. That's what this X-Acto knife is for. Now this, again, gentle process. We're not trying to damage this, but all I gotta do is get this just slightly underneath, and I'm gonna flip it up. There we go. Awesome. Let's pop a few more of these off and then have a closer look at what's inside these bearings. Bearings are now ready to start the cleaning process. They've been all taken apart. Kind of feeling my way through. Some of them are worse than others. There was one in here that was, this one here, totally seized. It'll be interesting to see how that bearing turns out, but just for interest's sake, here's what we've got on the inside of that bearing. So 7 ball bearings inside a nylon retainer. And I'm not going to bother trying to pull the bearings right out. It is possible. You could remove that nylon retainer and get at each individual ball bearing, but man, if you're doing that, you're just torturing yourself. We're going to get these nice and clean without bothering to go that far into it. The magic of the internet. So I'm not sure how this guy knew we were cleaning bearings.
I've been posting on Instagram.
Oh, okay, so from Instagram, we had somebody post. His username here is Erosolis96. Probably said it wrong. Bear with me here. But he asked, okay, how can I service my bearings if they don't open up the same way? So if it doesn't have one of these rubber shields that just clips in, then most likely you have a bearing like this one here. And this bearing here has a C-clip that holds in the shield. So the trick here is just to find the opening of the C-clip. So there's a clip that's like this. There is the opening to the C-clip. So there's a ring that goes all the way around and it's open here. If you look really closely, the end of the C-clip, it's just not a 90-degree flat, it's actually cut off at an angle. And so on one of those sides, you can actually get the knife in there, and then I'm going to be able to pop that out of there. So I'm going to sit down, maybe try and do it so we can see. Oh, there it is. So here's the C-clip there. So this is gonna spring out of there, so I'm gonna make sure I got it with my fingers. Now once that C-clip comes out, now I can take off this metal shield. And there we go. So now the bearing's opened up, similar to what we've done there. So great question, yeah. That's a tricky one, but that's the key there. You just get good at removing those C-clips. Okay, so now step one. What I'm gonna do is a little manual clean. So sponges, a scrub brush, some warm water, and what I'm gonna use as my degreaser is this Trisodium phosphate. What's 1/10 of a cup? So I need 2/10, which is 1/5, and this is 1/3. So half of 1/3 would be 1/6. So we'll go about halfway to the line. Okay. Time to mix it up. We've done the math. Okay. And we're going to add this in there. And we're going to stir it up. The water is warm. We're hoping all this is going to dissolve in there nicely. We're going to start cleaning.
It's a bummer.
There we go! Okay, so our solution has been made. Now, I got a couple sponges here, so I always like to start with just 2 sponges, kind of sandwiching everything in between. I'm more concerned at this moment of getting a little bit of a clean on the bearing shields themselves. So we'll start there. Dip that in there. Yes, I know I should be wearing rubber gloves. But life is life. There we go. Give those a little rubby dub. Okay. Oh yeah, getting clean already. Okay. Very nice. Nice. Got us started cleaning those things. Beautiful. So I'm going to kind of do the same here on these bearings. I'm going to use just regular old little scrub brush with a little bit of that solution and a little bit of manual cleaning. And then we'll get to the real magic, this device here. Okay. All right, so everything's been prepped now. So the next step is this device here. And what I have here, this is Magnasonic. It's an ultrasonic cleaner. So it's advertised for generally like cleaning jewelry or watches and that sort of thing. But essentially what it does is it uses a process called cavitation. What happens is using like a high frequency sound wave or like a pressure wave, it actually will kind of like vibrate the water at a specific frequency that causes this process called cavitation. And what that does is it actually separates the oxygen and the hydrogen molecules, kind of like it was boiling sort of in a way, but it makes these microscopic bubbles. And that agitation also is going to kind of lift and degrease all of this stuff. So the water with our degreaser and the high frequency pressure waves should just kind of lift that grease off. It's going to get them really clean. It looks really cool when we do it too. I'm going to put this maybe here. You'll be able to see that good there?
Yeah, we get.
Perfect. Okay. So into the basket. Go with the bearings. Boom. I'm going to fill it right up. Oh, there's a fill line somewhere. Oh, Max is over there. I see it. That's going to be perfect. Okay. There we go. Oh, now before I put the lid on, let's start this thing up. So you can see the whole thing start. Boom. And like you can just see the grease just like coming out. It's kind of cool. Very Oh, look at that one. Oh, man. Kind of a cool psychedelic mixture going on. So I've got it set for 480 seconds. Kind of random. The time selections on there are all these kind of minute and a half increments or whatever it ends up being. But I'm going to let that run for the full cycle. Boom. And when that's done, we'll inspect. I suspect that should be enough. We'll move on to the next part, which is drying the bearings and relubricating. But if one or two of them need a little extra love, that's not uncommon. There was that one bearing that was almost totally seized, so we might have to get in there a little bit more with the scrub brush. But for now, we wait and we'll see.
Back.
Okay, let's see what we're left with here. Whoa! Look at how gross that is. So I'm going to take my bearings out, set them aside, left with a greasy mess. But, oh, -1. They're all looking pretty clean in there. That one I think is going to need a little bit more love. Let's have a peek there. That looks pretty awesome.
Wait for it. Perfect.
Nice, that's beautiful. That's super clean. Now, I'm going to resist the urge to start spinning these bearings because I haven't lubricated them yet. But essentially, I'm just going to check them all out, make sure that, you know, from what I can see, they look nice and clean. If I need to do it again, that's a possibility. Yeah, I see maybe a little bit of stuff in here I want to clean out. So, I'm going to give them a second look over, possibly re-clean a couple of them, and then we'll be ready for the next step. That one's looking beautiful. Okay, so we'll put it this way, 7 of the 10 came out really nice. We'll re-clean these ones, and then when we come back to it, what we'll do is we'll start drying these bearings and then get them ready to re-lubricate and put back on my skates. All right. Are you recording? Okay, so now we're ready to dry these bearings and re-lubricate them. So we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I went ahead. There was one bearing that I thought needed a little bit extra. So what I've done is I've removed the nylon retainer to expose it this way. Now, the pain in the butt here is I actually got to get this nylon retainer back in and line up all those bearings. But there's just a little extra gunk in the raceway there. So this one, still not quite ready. I'll show you what I did there to remove that nylon retainer. Don't need anything fancy. I'm just going to use the end of this 3mm Allen key. I'm going to push that through. There we go. There. And that's how I did. So just push it through. Nothing to it there. Okay. So these. I'm going to give that one a little extra clean. Put that here. But to kind of get this process started, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a hairdryer here. Rinsing. Bearings have been dried. Now time for the lubricant. So there's a gazillion different things out there that people use to relubricate their bearings. Most common, it's a light machine oil. Keep looking at the wrong camera. It's a light machine oil, like a sewing machine oil or something used for like lubricating gun parts, that sort of thing. I've always been searching for something a little bit thicker, so this I found recommended on a longboarding forum where it's actually an assembly loop. So you'd use this for assembling engine parts and that sort of thing. So it's something that's a little bit thicker. I've never used it before, so I'll give you an update on what the results are like, but What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just add a little bit into each bearing, not trying to gum it up or fill it up with lubricant in any sort of way, just a nice coating for each one of the ball bearings. Let's see how this comes out of here. Oh yeah, I can kind of drop that in there. Okay. Looking pretty good. Oh wow. Oh Alex, spin that bearing. How smooth does that feel, hey?
That's good stuff.
Wow. Oh, I think that might be some really good lubricant. We'll see how it breaks down and if it gets really gummy with time or anything like this, but
No friction.
wow, that feels amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, you can just like feel it coating the bearings. Oh, dude. 100%. That ultrasonic cleaner, that jewelry cleaner works wonders. Does an amazing job lifting the grease out of there. You can put bearings inside a jar with some degreaser and shake them for years, it feels like, and get in there with Q-tips and brushes and all the rest of it. And half the time you put the bearings back together and you feel like, what was that even for? The bearings, like, they don't even feel like they're any better. They're louder, they're noisier. I don't know. Lubricants, I've tried all the standard things, and I've always been searching for something a little bit thicker. So very brief test, just spinning them in my fingers there, but this seems to be, this might be the one. So anyways, let's put the bearings back together. So simply now, I'm just gonna put the shields back in, and they're just gonna click in there. I'm gonna give the bearings a wipe down just to get rid of the extra grease so it doesn't attract any extra dirt on there. And then back in the wheels back on the frames. And I'm feeling pretty optimistic. This is pretty good. Okay, back together. The final test. Gotta get the mic on there. So I'm not expecting the wheels just to spin and spin and spin, but they just sound smooth. Really smooth. That's nice. I'm very satisfied. Okay. If you can indulge and spend a few dollars on one of these things, I highly recommend. It actually does the job. This, like I said, 50, 60 bucks online. I searched around, and this Magnasonic brand was one that I found seemed to be highly recommended. So you have my blessing if it's something you want to buy. Oh, sure. Yeah, right. Put a link. Yeah, and that's a good point. So everything that I used here, I can post links in the description so you can see exactly what it was. You can make yourself a little shopping list. For the most part, all these things you can find at your hardware store. Thanks again for all the support. We're pushing hard to try and get the 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think it might happen. Fingers crossed. But if you watch this video and you've watched a few of them and you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe so we can get that little ego boost at the end of the year and celebrate 50,000 subscribers. Namaste. Until the next video. We out of here. New tagline.